dude. All right, welcome to the Life and Leverage podcast. So excited to have our guest here today, Alec Minkoff, my go-to genius for marketing and all things editing. The goat, man.
All disgusting video things. Alec's a guy.
Oh, I mean, I wouldn't have been in any of this if it wasn't for you, man. So I appreciate it, dude. I really
It's all
do.
about you, man.
This is
I'm excited. I'm excited to chat with you. I get to.
yeah,
I'm not.
me too.
I'm your public mistress now. I'm no longer private.
Yeah, I had to bring you out of the closet.
What a great start. How's it going,
I
man?
know, right? I know. So, bro, I think I saw it on maybe one of your posts or something, but tell me how you got into what you do.
Oh,
Maybe you
yeah.
want to explain like exactly what it is you do.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, I'm
Yeah, I'll
interested.
do a little intro. Yeah. So, so I'm like a behind the scenes media guy, and I guess it's cooler to kind of give the intro of what I do now from where I started. And it was kind of like a weird start. Like I started when I was in like 12 years oldish. Kind of basically I played a lot of Call of Duty. I don't know how in depth my post went, but this is kind of funny for any of your viewers that maybe played in that realm.
Yeah.
But I played a lot of video games. Or I didn't play a lot of video games, but I played specific video games that also had like this YouTube audience building. And a lot of the big YouTubers today started from that crowd. I'm trying to think of ones that people would know, but like even KSI, I was just watching a video. KSI is one of the biggest in Europe, and he started in the Call of Duty realm. So I like early on tapped into this market of like people were just making videos, and I wasn't that great at Call of Duty, and so I would always record people's. I early on, it was weird. I would record people's screens, like I would spectate them, and I would edit the footage. Like I would start to like collect all this footage, and it just became a skill of like video editing. And I remember as a kid, I would just be sitting on like a bunk bed watching complex editing tutorials, like thinking to myself, like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to figure this out. And then like 2-3 years down the road, I'm in like some pretty higher tier editing teams of those like groups that would play together that would get paid a bunch of money, and I would get paid for my edits from specific people. And I'm like 14.
Really?
I'm like early in high school and spending 11
Yeah.
hours a day on this stuff, and everybody else is doing what you do in high school, I guess. And yeah, I tapped into it, and that's kind of how I figured it out originally. And then, but at that point, YouTube wasn't, it wasn't cool yet. It was still like kind of very underground.
Yeah.
And so I kind of pulled away from it a little bit. And then whenever it started to kind of become more of a thing, I was like, especially like when I was like right at the end of college, I was like, I need to turn this into a business. Like, how can this be like something that, everybody like needs this thing, but how do you turn it into something? And then that leads me to today, where I got connected with a mentor early on who was in business, and he saw my talent and was like, all right, we're gonna, I was making these like, this is like when I was like 21, I was making these commercials for items. It's hilarious. So I would like, even this watch right here that I'm wearing, like they sent it to me, and they sent it to me because I sent them a commercial of a watch of theirs that I made that I bought by accident. I meant to return it.
Okay.
Totally forgot to
Okay.
return it.
Yeah.
And it was hilarious. Anyway,
So
so
were
you
you doing
guys
like were you doing like unboxing? Like those, those videos and stuff like that, unbox and then give it like a review on it?
So sort of I wouldn't do anything like it was cinematic. So basically think about it like those advertisements you'd see like maybe on a Super Bowl. You don't really see a lot of them, but like a Rolex commercial where the watch like is very cinematic. It pops out, it's showing all the features, it's showing the date feature, the day feature, all the like, it's very up close and personal. Like this one, I don't know if I can get it to focus on the watch itself because it focuses on my face, but it's very detailed. And so the video is like all about the features of the watch. And so it's really cinematic, very like adding in what's it called, that smokes not smoke, but what's the name of that? Well, dry ice where it would like float out of the box. Like it was wild.
Yeah. So were you like at that time using multiple cameras and then going in and pulling it all together? Or
yeah, so for those videos, some of them I started with literally like barely anything. And then as I did more and more and more, I started to like have more equipment. And by the end of it, when I was kind of doing it the heaviest, I actually bought a course for it too, which is great. I had one camera on one angle, one camera on another angle, one filming slow motion, one filming some other, whatever the other thing was. And then, it would always be like, I would just have, I would just be connecting all the dots in editing, because sometimes two clips that you filmed on the same item at the same movement, like it's turning right, and you're filming two different angles, sometimes they don't really go together, as stupid as that sounds. So you might have to take an angle from like a different shot and put it next to it, because mentally it just flows better. And like one of the watches, I actually took the box and like opened it with like strings and stuff, so you couldn't see hands, and so it would just open itself. It would display the watch. This is so much fun. It was just like purely creativity and pushing myself in a garage at like 80 degrees. I'm like sweating, just trying not to die.
Does it change your perspective now when you watch like even movies and stuff like that? Because like I know like just on my level, which is very, very small compared to you, but like the day that I bought a drone and then like started doing videos, and it's just and I never even did any of the editing or anything like that, but just like watching the footage of the drone and as it's going up and the way that it turns and stuff like that. Me and my wife started this thing that like now every time when we're watching a movie, we're like drone. You can just tell, like you're watching it, like you know, like it's that was definitely made with a drone. You know what I mean? But like for you now, how does that, like when you're watching a movie, is you're like, oh, I can see how they did that?
You can like turn it on and off, right? So like it's at first it was very distracting. When I was very into like film, especially, extremely distracting. I could not like stop thinking about it. But now I've learned to like be able to, you can turn, like I listened to I don't remember who it was, like a rapper that's into film, or no, it was Kobe. It was Kobe Bryant, actually, believe it or not. And it was Kobe was talking about how he was getting into film, and he'd watch it once for entertainment value, and then he'd watch it another time for just without sound at all, just to learn how the director used it. He would watch another listening just mainly for the sound. So it's like you kind of tune your brain to think in that realm. But it's funny because the more you do know about it, the more you start to recognize, like, it ruins a lot of things. Like I can't, like, there's certain films where things will happen and I'm like, or like a green screen film, like a big time, like CGI film. I just know when they're actually filming it, how weird it looks. And I'm like, this is hard for me to like escape, suspend reality for it. What's funny though about the drone shots is, before drones were really prevalent, like to where they are now, at least to what I understand, they used to fly helicopters with cameras in them out the like window. And it was like, that was how they got those shots, which to me is wild. Like to think about being that camera guy,
like even like the Transformers, like all of those all started out. I mean, obviously there's a lot of CGI and stuff like that, but like those other ones, that was before drones. And then like I watched something, it was on YouTube, that like how Michael Bay called in like this whole team to do the last one, and it was like all these crazy drone like pilots that just come in and race them around, and it changed the game. It was just it's nuts what you can do with it.
It like camera technology advances somewhat to the level of like computer technology. Like there's an old saying that's like computer technology doubles every 4 years or something. I can't remember the exact saying, but camera technology is sort of like that, especially in today's age. But it's also changing a lot to like CGI and fake stuff now, which is cool, but also like it takes away the art of like have you ever seen a Wes Anderson film? He's like a specific director. He like the Budapest Hotel, I think is what it is.
Oh yeah. I did.
Grand
I did.
Budapest.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. He's done his style is so unique, and it's done like to where you can only really, like, a human could only really create that, because it's just so stylistic. Now, obviously, once it's created, computer can like recreate, but the way that some of the director's styles are, it's so unique. But for the most part, a lot of things have become like very easily made by computer generated stuff, which kind of sucks because it takes away the need to do some of the crazy drone stuff. But man, I saw a drone shot of they're called FPV drones. I think it's first person view, or
first person viewer. Yeah.
Dude, It's like real life video games. I want one so bad, but they're expensive just because of how many you crash. That's why. Like
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
so like
Well,
learning.
DJI came out with one that is like a mix in between the two,
Oh,
and
really?
it's at like a pretty decent price. So you can get it for like $1,200 or something like that.
Yeah,
But
that's good for FPV.
it's yeah, it's pretty sick. Like you can fly it and have all of the benefits of it, but it has the guards around all
Yeah,
the uh
propellers.
propellers. Thank you. And I mean, it's pretty quick. It's pretty crazy. Like
Dude,
being
hilarious.
able to go to a mountain and then fly up the mountain and then just turn that thing and come straight down.
Like it just does things that like I'd like to do a simulator for a long time. I don't know how
Yeah,
close they are to like learning how to fly it, but just to experience it without because I get nervous just having a regular drone in the air.
yeah.
Like you eventually get like I'm so used to it, I can catch my drone like, and it's not even that cool of a thing, but like I can like when I
I still
land it,
think it's
I
cool.
land. What do you say?
I said I still think it's cool because I know.
Yeah, it's like a party trick when I fly it, and
Yeah,
they're like, because everybody's running away when it's landing, I'm like walking to it, grabbing it. Then again, my drone is like a little bit bigger than the like average now, but like uh, oh, I still get a little bit on edge when it's in the air because it's just like it just I don't know. You can't. It's hard to be comfortable
I do
with it
too.
just flying. FPV is a
Sometimes
whole different
when
game.
you get up too high, like when I'm up real high, like
Yeah.
it's almost like I can't actually look up at it if it's too high because then I start getting like more
Yep.
nervous. But if I
Yep.
just like
Like
stay
vertigo.
engaged on the screen, then I'm okay. You know what I mean? But if I look up
Exactly.
at it and I see it and I'm like, holy shit, that's
It's
really
like
high.
fake. If it's on the screen, it's
Yeah.
fake. It's not real.
Yeah, yeah.
But if it's in the air,
Exactly.
you're like, "That's real. That's there."
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember
Exactly.
to fly them, like, commercially, quote, unquote, you have to do, an aeronautical test. So you have to I don't know how it classifies in the sense of, like, with real, flight tests, but I had to learn how to read an aeronautical map. Granted, like, it's not really that useful because at the levels you fly a drone at, there's not really interference with like, there's a certain, like, level where it doesn't have any relation to, like, aircraft. But
Yeah.
what I've learned was so cool. Like, I got obsessed with the aeronautical map, and it's not even for, like, the helpfulness of flying a drone. It was just
Yeah.
learning how airspaces work, and I just got so into it. But it's funny because it's gotten to a point
That's
where,
awesome.
like, it can cause issues if people like, some of these drones go, like, incredibly far, and some people will risk it for the biscuit, and they'll get in the way of, like, these, I'm sure these lower planes and whatnot. But I was like, "Man, this
Yeah.
is, out of hand." But, yeah, it's pretty cool. What kinda drone do you have? Do you have a DJI drone?
Yeah. DJI, the Air 2. Air
Nice.
2. Yeah.
That's cool.
It's I
Convenient.
saw the Air 3. I'm thinking about upgrading to that one, but I saw they just changed like they changed a bunch of the rules this year that go into play, I think on the into 2024
Really?
that you have to even on like the mini, you have to go in and like I think they called it declassify it or something. And then
Oh.
you have to have a certain I think it's mainly in the European Union that
Mm.
they changed so much of it. That's where I saw it. Another YouTube video. Go guess or go figure.
Dude, it's getting
But
weird, man. Like,
it is.
technology advances so quickly that it's hard to regulate, because people can always do malicious things. But, like, yeah, it's really hard because it's like, "Oh, great, drones can fly, like, 10 miles now," but it's like, "Wow, if I can fly a drone 10 miles away with, like, 0 trace to where I'm at, what things could people do?" And,
Yeah.
or maybe it's, like, even just flying it over a football stadium and it crashes and it hits someone, there's so many little, like,
Seriously.
nuances. And you're like,
Yeah.
"Man, someone's sitting there thinking, like, what are all the worst case scenarios?" But it's advancing so fast that they're always trailing.
Yeah.
It's hilarious, but that's cool, man.
What about like
Yeah.
AI? Because like there's so much, I mean, it's coming in and like I was thinking about this before we started talking. Like you do so much editing and stuff like that, and now they have so many AI like different tools that are free out there that you can go in and
Yeah.
they'll take a long part of a video and chop it up and do that thing.
Yeah.
How much do you think that's taking away, or is it actually benefiting you?
Oh, it's definitely gonna be a huge benefit for me in the long run. Which is this weird hybrid right now where I mean, it's something that we're gonna leverage, but where what sucks is that it's, like, so close to being, like, at a level where, like, how do I say it? Like, there's that 5% difference that equals a huge, like, viewing experience difference. Like, be it just making sure that, because we try to leverage AI tools where we can, but there's just a gap. There's a little bit missing right now that a human obviously can get every single time and like nail it every single time. When it completes that gap, then it will be a lot easier for us to leverage, because there will always be markets where people don't want, they want that taken care of, right? And that helps us not have to, like, human leverage for editing is a pain in the butt, because the training involved, the innovation involved, the amount of thinking, like, you have, like, getting good editors is not an easy task. And we have some that are insanely talented, but I'm like, I can't really reduplicate that talent in another person that easily. Like, I have to find another person who is also insanely talented. Like, it's very difficult to like duplicate. But if it's at scale and we're talking like having AI to be able to do it, well, that helps us, because now we have much less focus on specifically that thing, and we can advance into we can find other values to bring to the table, and less effort has to go into the editing. Like, editing is important, but there's so many other ways you can use media that our clients can even benefit from. And people a lot of times think organic is like the number one way, which organic is like the most talked about. But there's so many ways to leverage video, like things we're doing, and you guys probably do this too, is like, prepping calls, before a sales call, making sure you have the right videos out there, making sure that, they're getting seen videos like dripped on every week or whatever it is. All these little tiny optimization points are like procedural videos that you can also use for organic. And most companies that are, needing our help are usually in the stone ages on that side too. So it's exciting for me to have to leverage less human labor for editing. But AI is just not quite there to where it's like human editing. Like, we have some editors that, like, there's AI is going to have to be at extreme level to be able to replace that person, just because they can get better and better. But eventually, I think it will. It's just, the amount of effort it takes to clean up the mess now after AI does it, because it's like they're not going to get everything.
What makes like a video editor to get to that level? Like, what kind of skills does that take for you to look at somebody and be like, I don't know, I don't even know how he does that part.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean,
you know what I mean?
It's really well, I think at the core of it, personality trait wise, is like, how much do they innovate? So like, one of my favorite editors, and usually the key trait I look for is like, are they, like, if I send them something, I'm like, hey, go learn this style, like, check this out. And it's like a tutorial. Are they implementing it, or are they like implementing it to the extent, like, I've had some really good editors that do really well, but when I send them innovation stuff, I still have to go in and like explain fundamental thing. Like, if they can get the fundamentals down, like I was talking about with the watch thing, knowing that these two clips, even though they're filmed together and they probably should go together, but they just don't for some reason, and knowing to use this clip instead of that clip, like, if they get that clicks, oh, I can take them super far. But if they try to do a lot of the fancy stuff, but they don't get the fundamentals, and they just can't think through editing, it gets really difficult to, like, that's usually where I have to think about, do I want to put them in a spot where, like, what I'll sometimes do is take an editor like that, and I'll put them in either whatever spot I think they do best. So they might not do the whole process good, but they might be really good at pulling clips, just not great at like putting together the right captions, making things like entertaining, keeping attention. And so I'll put them in the part where they get clips, where the other editors that are even better will now have to not spend time on that. They'll spend time on just making it look good. And then that, and like, there's just an it factor, is what I've heard it called before, where some you can just hand them stuff and they just bring back like well done product. And I'm like, okay, it's hard to teach. It's teachable, but it's much better to find someone that's just like, they just
experienced.
They just think that their thinking is aligned in the right craft. Some people do it for, it's like trading. I don't know if trading is a good example, but I'm going to try to use it. It's like if you're trading, thinking like from day one, you're just going to make money. You're not really going to learn anymore. Like, you know what you know, but you're not really going to learn anymore. Versus someone who's like, yeah, I want to just like continue to learn because I know I can do better and make more money. The person who wants to continue to learn is always going to outperform. And some editors like got to a level where they're like, okay, I can get paid well, probably overseas or whatever, and they stopped innovating. That's usually where like you see like a lot of it. It's like, okay, well, you're in 2-3 months, things are going to change and you're not going to change with it. And that's where that happens.
I see. Yeah. I mean, that's cool that you say it, because I didn't really think about it, but that is one thing that was huge, that when we started working together, even like your ability to just be like, dude, just get on camera. Well, let's just have a talk, and we'll spit something out.
Yeah.
I promise we'll make
Yeah.
it work. Like that,
Yeah.
and that type of innovation and that skill set that you have is huge. I mean, and I don't know how that part would ever even get taken over by AI. You know what I mean? Like that part is still just such a huge thing for any editor to be able to have.
That I was talking to an elderly man yesterday at our I go to my stepfamily's Thanksgiving, and he worked for like he worked on some of the earliest like integrated circuits and stuff before the computer was invented. And I was picking his brain on like, what'd you learn? What lessons did you learn? Whatever.
Yeah.
And I asked him about AI. He was like, I don't really follow up, but he was like, one thing that he realized is that AI will give tools to the right people. That's why I'm excited about it, because it makes me be able to get solutions for my clients easier, faster, and potentially even cheaper in the long run. It depends on what leverage it takes to actually, like, if I need to hire people to monitor the AI, which right now is kind of what happens, is it spits out a crap product. You're like, all right, I need someone to go fix that and clean it up. But
Yeah.
when with someone like me or anybody who's solution based, that goes to someone who's like, hey, I have this vision of something, or at least maybe I don't even have a vision. I know my media needs to be something like this. And it's like, okay, yeah, I know all the pieces I need to put in place to make that happen. And all I need from you is the raw material. Like, I don't need you to believe that the raw material is going to produce the outcome you want, but I need you to just give me the raw material, which is like what we were used to do on the calls, where I would coach through, here, say this, say this, say this. And I got the reaction like 8 times out of 10 with no matter who I work with, they'd be like, well, I don't know what you're going to do with that. And then they'd see it. And I'm like, I don't need you to believe, that it's possible, but when you see it, now you're going to understand like what I was envisioning. And it's such a cool transformation. So as long as that transformation is what like the mentality is like, I want you to not have to think about it. I want you to be able to get on there, get what we need. And then when you see the result, if you're happy with that, then that's the goal. So AI empowers people like that. It replaces people that go, I check boxes, and I just do this one thing, and it's gonna beat us at that, but it can't creatively think in a perspective that it doesn't have.
Yeah, for sure. That's such a cool way to look at it, though. Like, I mean, there's people that are going to be scared of it on one side of it. You know what I mean? They're going to say be scared, and they're going to say, "Oh, it's taking jobs," and that all of that uneducated stuff. But like once you learn about it, and then you see how you can use it to your advantage, you're like, why wouldn't I? Why wouldn't I use just the small advantages that I can get, because I'm still way more advanced than it, but it can do a lot of the writing that I don't want to sit down and take 4 hours to write out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but if it can do that, and then I can go in and kind of clean it up and make it what I want to,
Yeah.
or then teach somebody even that part to go clean it up,
Yeah.
then it's just leverage. It's just leverage at that point.
It keeps you in your 1% zone of genius. Like for me, an example is we run ads, and ads are like my favorite. Like I'm really working on in the future. I talked to an agency coach I have, and we don't really sell ads, but he was like, I told him how much I love him. It's just the data, the creativity behind it, how video can just be worked with. And he's like, trust your intuition. So I've been toying with it more lately. The headline is like the most important, usually, depending on what the ad is, what the format, there's so many variables. But in a traditional like Facebook ad per se, the headline is where, like on a landing page, it's where the majority of that, Davey Ogilvy, who's a famous advertiser, said 80 cents of your advertising dollar is spent on the headline. And I don't trust AI to know the headline. Like I won't have AI write headlines for me. I probably just don't know the tools that well anyway to make it like work that well. But even when I've trained it on hooks, like some of the best proven hooks, like I still can't quite get it like there, but I don't really need it to write a headline. That's a 1% task. What it's helpful for is like write me the body copy, and then I can just tweak it, because the body copy is not gonna like, no one's gonna see the body copy, and the body copy pushes them forward, but it's not like a make or break. The headline is a make or break, because if you don't catch their attention, like you don't even get the chance. So there's a lot of cool things it can do to take like clean up all the like extra bits. But there's still going to be those tasks, at least in specific industries, where like you need someone that like truly understands a principle from like, you can read 50 books and have information from 50 books, but can you critically think from that information of those 50 books and combine overlap ideas, overlap AIs, you know, that's where I think it becomes extremely specialized in its own right, which is where it's exciting because it's like, cool, I get to focus on the thing that only I can do or only like I can teach. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm seeing too, is just like being able to put things together and then look at it from like a sales side even and be like, oh, that's an easy way that I can get to the part of the conversation that I want to get to. Right.
Yeah.
Like just have them at a glance, look at this part and be like, all right, you're already here. You see this part, you see this. Now look, let me show you this. And then,
Yeah.
then you go through and just break down, like I said, the part that you wanted to show them anyways. And they're like, and then on the backside of that, you already pretty much have them vetted to that point to make the decision right there. So that then they're like, oh, no, that does make sense. All right, cool. Yeah, no, I like it. Yeah, let's go ahead and do it. Just,
Yeah.
it pushes things forward for
So
you.
nice. It does so much of the work for you. And it's never perfect, but it's like so much faster than doing it manually. And sometimes even doing it manually is worse because like that's why like I had to proofread a document the other day. It's like 13 pages. And I'm
Yeah.
like, dude, I would much rather like have AI wouldn't quite work yet because it wasn't like a typo. It was more like grammatical and just was really hard. You had to have context. But I'd much rather pay someone $15 for 3 hours to go read this for me.
Yeah.
AI is kind of like that. It's like me spending 3 hours on proofreading something, that's not my expertise. Like, I'm probably
Yeah.
gonna mess it up, you know?
Yeah.
Am I highly capable? Absolutely. But would I rather spend 3 hours on, AI is
Yeah.
gonna clean up a lot of those tasks that are just mundane. I think it'll be cool and a little scary, but cool when we can start to design our own sort of AIs for our own tasks. Like if I can have a sort of a proprietary AI
You can.
that
Just
what do
came
you say?
out.
Like a custom GPT or something like even
A
more.
Custom GPT, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
like you can basically train it to do exactly the job that you want it to do. Obviously, you still have to go in and clean it up to a certain point, but I
it's
mean,
getting there. It's like
yeah,
that was the
it's
first time
crazy.
where I was like, "Whoa, this is becoming like
Same.
user available."
Yeah,
Um, which is exciting. But I mean more of like even like an assistant. I can train it to go like click and like, like search things like active. But it's also tough because like the more the thing about AI, and I love this conversation about it because I was talking to an AI expert, I was researching it. Obviously, you have quite a bit of knowledge, so this is cool for me to even ask you. But um, the idea of AI learning beyond what we can control it is a little bit weird because like it will learn without us knowing why it learned. Have you heard the story? I don't know if they told you. I don't know if it's a big story, but the story of the robot and the yellow ball.
I
This
don't
is like
think
a
so.
ex Google executive like explained this story about AI, which is fascinating. Basically, it took me a long time to find the story, but there was like a series of robots and they were trying to pick up these like toys, like they were just basic stuff. This was early on, and for some reason it couldn't get these, couldn't grab them, like it was a robot. And eventually, like he came in one day and the robot like grabbed a yellow ball and it picked it up. It was like, whoa, it wasn't like it wasn't told to do that, but it did it. Like it was told to grab the toy, but it grabbed something and it picked it up. And the other ones are still banging its head against the wall doing nothing, right? So he comes back a week later, and now all of a sudden it's like picking it up consistently, like it's got it, right? And he comes back another series of days, and all the robots have it. Like everybody has it. And what it explained was that the fascinating thing about AI is that in a lot of cases, it's not that like if I learn something and I have to teach it to you. But
Yeah.
AI, if I learned something, you just learned it too. Which is
Wow. Yeah.
like that's the crazy part. And so like a
Yeah.
smart car,
That's sick. Yeah.
if a smart car needs adjustments, all the smart cars learn. So there's good and bad. Like if I teach an AI something that I wanted to know, keep inside, I can't necessarily stop it from doing things. So there's craziness to it.
I didn't even think about that, bro.
It's
Honestly, I
wild.
never even thought about that because it's all stored there. So there's not you don't have to go out and update every car or everything.
Right.
It's as soon as it's learned through the AI, then everything that has that type of AI on it has it immediately.
Dude, it's
That's sick.
freaky. And then the idea of like Neuralink where we plug into it is crazy too.
Yeah.
I had a conversation with a friend that was like, if everybody knows everything that's ever been like all information, what separates one human from another? And we were just pondering it, like what does separate one human from another? And my thought was like, if you know something, do you have the same, like, do you have experience? Like, if you know how to sell, but you don't know, like, you've not done it, would you be
Mhm.
able to do it at the same level as someone who's done it 1,000 times? My guess would be no, right? Like, if I know how to do
I would
surgeon,
think
like
so,
I
yeah.
read surgery, like books,
Right.
I don't think I could like go in there and do it. So I was thinking that's probably what would differentiate a human from anything is like information and actual execution are different. So I don't know. This is a crazy thought though. Like if everybody
Plus
knows everything.
feelings, right? Just like,
Yeah.
yeah, on anything, like, or emotions, I guess I should say, rather. Like, human emotion holds so many people back from it, whereas if they just came into something and they read the book on it and they're like, I'm confident, I can go ahead and do it. A lot of times they probably will do a lot better than they do, but them not actually executing it ever, they still have like those feelings and those emotions that go on in their head, and they're like second guessing themselves and stuff like that. But if you just walk in like, you know, swinging,
Yep.
and you're just like, no, I'm gonna do this. I got this. Like that's a huge thing all in itself. And bots don't have the human emotion, right? Once
No,
they read it, they get it, and they can just go execute,
it's
which
information.
is,
Yeah.
yeah,
It's
that's
fascinating.
pretty. That is, I mean, and that part you can definitely like put into trading, because
Yeah.
as good as you get, like there's always the human emotion factor,
Yeah.
you
Especially
know.
in trading. That's a good point.
Yeah, and then like if you now with the ability to have bots that execute for you, and you can build it in that like everything down to the methodology which you've already learned to that point. If everything lines up, then it just pulls the trigger for you and it does it. That's
Yeah.
that's huge all on its own, you know.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
and
interesting.
then you have if you have both, now you get the best of both worlds, right? Because then you can look back at like I can just look up at a chart right now and know the methodology and where I want to turn it on. You know what I mean? But I still can't execute as fast as that bot's going to be able to. So
Sure.
basically, I can just put in those lines and look at it and be like, all right, if that comes to that area, I want to take that trade. So then I'll just turn on the bot to let it do it off of that, and then let it let it take it from there and execute, which
Yeah.
is that's huge, man. And I think like they're only going to get smarter. I mean that nobody's ever going to beat the market. I mean, but dude, there's going to be I'll bet some huge things breaking with AI coming into trading. And I mean, it's still an old, like the way that it is all put together, it's still kind of an old way. So I'm
Interesting.
sure
That's
that
fascinating.
they can train a bot to outthink the market for a certain amount of time, right? For,
Yeah.
better than they could before, when there was like black box trading, which is just a certain way. It can't ever think anything more. It's just the way that you take it, and there's nothing learning from it. And then
Mm.
if it'll execute and it'll beat the market for a little bit, but then the market will change context, and then that thing is just done. Like
Mm.
it's just useless to you, you know?
Interesting. Interesting. So do you think that that like let's say that like this is a weird question. I don't know. Obviously, it never would be possible. But if it was like all bots trading, it could still be, could it still be a net positive? Like, it sounds like it could still be profitable, even if it was like a bot trading against a bot. Because in the market, my limited understanding of it, there's trades where both can win, right? Like, it's not like necessarily a loss because depending on where you got in and where you got out, like,
Yeah.
is that realistic to think that like you could almost just like trade money, or is it one of those where like one has to lose kind of thing, like a net zero?
Well, with there for in futures at least, there has to be a buy for every sell, right? Like, or a sell for
Right.
every buy. Like, yeah, at that same exact price, right? So volume is what we look at, and that's a big part of what moves the market. But that's also why the banks and institutions can manipulate the market, because
Oh, a volume.
if it comes to a certain point, they can just throw enough money at it to go in the
Mm,
opposite direction and outsmart it.
wow.
So that's why like high frequency trading got big. And then if you add in like high frequency trading and all of those bots that were created out of that era, and then now use AI to be able to do it, and then you have like the banks that have unlimited capital to do it, then it's just going to make it bigger for them. But then also, if you know how to ride those swings as the banks are manipulating the market, and you can basically ride their coattails, that's that's a huge advantage into it. So yeah, I mean, as soon as the bots get even better and better, I think it's still just gonna everybody. It's still gonna help everybody. Like it'll change the game for sure. But I mean, the market's always been ever changing, right? It's just if it's same thing as like what you were talking about with editing. Like if you know how to use it to your advantage, then what is there to stop you? I mean, there's going to be a lot of money to be made.
Dude,
out there.
What I love is like there's always the bell curve, right? So you have like no matter what, there will always be a bottom of the bell curve in the sense of understanding how to utilize what advantages are out there. And like no matter how advanced it gets, it's like a spectrum, right? The people on the top of the spectrum, like you, that are innovative, are always going to benefit because there's like laggards, I guess is no way to call it. It feels like a weird, like feels like a mean word to say, but like people that are just like lagging behind. That just they like there will be people still old school trading, whatever that like is nowadays. Even when there's tools that are like even more advanced than today. So it's like hilarious. No matter what area you're in and what industry, there's always going to be people that aren't up to date, and they will lose out on opportunity because of that.
Oh yeah, I mean, to be honest, some people are going to hate me for this, but I mean, it's just very, very true. Like engineers, man, they always think that they can outthink it. And like, you know what I mean? They're not like, they're almost too innovative when it comes to it, because you can show them a bot and be like, basically, if you know how to do this, now you just use this bot to help you excel at it. And they're like, but I can think better than that bot can. It's like, okay, do it. Like do it. But they just won't buy because they just think that they're going to go in and create it and stuff like that.
It becomes
right?
analysis.
That's,
too much analysis.
Yeah, exactly. It just turns into immediate
like
analysis, and they're never
executing.
Well, they're just never executing, right? Like it's got to come to a point where you just, okay, I mean, you can test it and you can test this theory as many times as you want and stuff like that, but is it actually working in the live market? And are you able to pull the trigger, right? Are you able to do it and let it go? And if you're not able to make that decision, man, you're gonna get bypassed if you just keep sitting there and thinking about it.
Yeah, that's a good theory, like that's a good principle in like all of any venture. But I can see, I remember at one point we talked about like who is successful in the program, in any kind of like new venture. And I think that my brother, who's like somewhat in the trading, has showed me graphs of like, it's like a meme, but it's like people at the very bottom of the, like it's an IQ graph. And it's like people at the very bottom of the IQ graph and people at the very top. I like both. They both benefit because it's like the stupid people don't know why they're doing it right. And this obviously doesn't work in like your type of trading. Yours is very like complex, but what are you talking about? And then like the very like top of the chart is like they don't need a million reasons why either. Like they have the right reasons. It was oversimplified, but it was just really funny how he like there are people out there that do that take advantage of those opportunities just because of how little they think about them. Obviously, you can't like not like you guys have strategy, you guys have rules, you guys have guidelines. That's what you follow. But as soon as you overcomplicate it, like people in the middle of the graph, that's where it becomes like less efficient because you're like, well, you're adding in or you're there's ifs and thens. Like this is the what's the core tenets of the what's the Bible's the commandments. These are the commandments.
Oh, the 10 commandments.
All the commandments.
Yeah, it's true, man. It's like and that's funny that you say that too, because like you're right. There's gonna be certain people at the bottom that just don't have a clue what they're doing, but they're getting lucky. Also, at the same time, because they're just executing. Like at least they're trying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're using what little part that they know of it to just go out and try and execute. Right. Mm-hmm. Now, the people at the top also look at some of the tools that they're using, and they're like, thanks for using those tools, because this just makes it way easier to smoke you, right? But then like it's something, now that I'm thinking about it too, like when I was learning this stuff, and you're like going through even like a sales pitch or something, and trying to explain this stuff to somebody, and you have to get through it in a certain amount of time, where it's just going to be too much, right? So you have to learn a quick way to explain something. But then if you let them get lost in it, where they're like, but what if it does this? And you know what? Hey, what if it does this? Hey, I see this little thing right here. What's that? What's this? I couldn't do this. Can you do this? And it's just like, dude, you're way overcomplicating this.
Yep.
Like, you just look at it and like this, and I promise it'll make more sense. Just, but you're thinking too much, and I think that's kind of goes into what you were saying. Those people in the middle that just are overthinking everything from one side to the other, that's where they end up meeting. Yeah. And it turns into that kind of mess or disaster.
Supernatural to do that. Yeah, like I learning business, I've had to stop myself from overcomplicating, because it is simple. It's not easy, but it is simple. And it's when things are too simple and they're not like sexy and fun, where you're like naturally as humans, we want to be like, there must be another way. And it's like, no, it's the work. It's the thing. Like, just do what's proven. And the people at the lower end of the spectrum don't question it as much because they don't know why they would question it. People at the top of the spectrum probably helped build it. And they're like, we built it this way to make it simple, so it works. And then, everybody in the middle, which I fall into a lot, is like, oh, well, honey, let me question. And then you have to like learn. It's a discipline to stop that, to be like, I 100%. Paid for the expedited knowledge. So they follow expedited knowledge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So true. So true. Have you, by the time this comes out, this is going to be mid-December, right? So we're rapidly approaching the new year, man. You got anything big? You got some big stuff coming that you're excited about?
Yeah, I mean, we're my goal, a lot of it depends on kind of what we've been kind of incubating something. So in the course world, so I'm a partner in a different business as well. That's we're basically launching. Well, we've already launched, but we're launching. I don't know. Have we talked about the course at all? I won't go in super detail, but basically, it's not a course of mine, but my business. What do you say?
I said, no, please do. Go ahead. Tell me.
It's really cool. I'm very excited about it. My business partner, who's like my mentor that got me started in the business world, he is launching, and we've already launched it, but we're fully launching his basically year-long academy that's teaching other people in mortgage, how to create the same type of business he created. And he's just like wildly successful and philosophical about business. Like, he makes things really, really simple on how to scale, and like leverage is one of his things. So that's pretty funny. But we're launching in January the introduction to that academy, and it's like, more of a small monthly fee type thing for mortgage people to be able to do it, which is different. We did like the course in the beginning. In September and in October. And I'm excited because we're taking all of the marketing we've been doing for that kind of in the background, like learning. There's a lot of incubation for me. Like that's where I'm running a lot of the ads. I'm working with ad agencies that are really high levels, funnel agencies that are high levels. And I'm just kind of like learning from them, absorbing, principles, not really like technical. Like, I don't want to be the guy who goes and build, like, you can build out all the funnels, right? Like you can build all the ads, but I want to understand why they work at a really high level and be able to throw in an idea that doubles like the revenue versus like spending 8 hours building the funnel, right? Like, I'm building one right now for using a method I learned at Russell Brunson's conference, and it takes me so long. I'm like, I'd rather just pay it and work on making it more profitable. But my goal is in the next year to start taking those ideas and implementing them in other business owners that are trying to launch something similar. Which is kind of like what we're noticing. Like, people, especially, he's very influential in his world, and people are noticing what we're doing, and they're starting to like ask about it. And so I'm watching for like the overlap of where, kind of like my best expertise can link to creating that as a service, because that's really my biggest passion is creating courses is like a medium of it, but more of like doing full marketing, like full scale marketing. Like, I love working like under that company, especially because I get to control all the marketing A to Z. Like, I have a hand in everything. So I can think about, if I want to do email campaigns like Black Friday, if I want to do specific ads to a specific lead magnet, to a specific nurture campaign, there's not really like anything stopping me from just implementing anything I want. And it's the best kind of like sandbox for a marketer. So I've just been working on that since April. And we've grown it and grown it and grown it. And now it's like, now I'm getting to a point, honestly, where like like some of my ideas, like it's hard I have to get used to trusting the experts we hire, because I get so in the nitty gritty of things that I'm like, I've watched so many courses, I've done so many different things, I've done so many ad tests. I mean, we ran like the ads that I ran with my copy and everything had like a 10 to 12 return on ad spend, which is pretty wild. I mean, thinking like you
Yeah.
put $1 in and you get 10x back. Like, how
Yeah.
many dollars do you want to put in? Like a lot, right?
Yeah.
And all of it was thoroughly tested. So much effort went into it. Like, it was my baby, right? I filmed the videos, we had them edited. I walked with the editors on like exactly how to do it. And bringing on an ad agency that doesn't have that level of like, they're good, but they don't have that level of like, they've not been on the ground. I have to
Right.
be okay with working with them and like, okay, how do I not get in their way? But I'm like, guys, I really think we should try things this way.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and so that's my 2024 will hopefully be an expansion of that beyond what that, like, once we level out the launches in that company, and like January, February, March is more of like calm, consistent, like here's our academy now, and not just like course launches, taking those learned you know formulas and applying it to other business owners in that industry or other industries that want to launch something similar, and be like, yeah, here's the new way to do it. Because I consider myself very innovative in that world. Like, I wrote out the plan for what I wanted to launch back in June, but I totally was like not confident in it. I was like, I think this is what the roadmap needs to be. But I listened to a lot of people that had exited businesses like that. I asked a lot of the right people, and I'm looking back today much more confident at that plan I wrote, going, holy crap, I was so spot on. I did not understand it. And I'm now pulling ideas I had then and making sure we get them implemented. So it's like the new age of that is really exciting. I'm very excited to be on the forefront and not like lagging behind, which a lot of those agencies did a lot of good stuff in 2021 and 2020 when it was kind of easier. And now they're like doing the same thing. And I'm like, no, I want to do new. I want to like do things no
Yeah.
one's thinking about, you know. So that's
Oh
me.
yeah.
What about you, man? What, I don't know if you have
Dude,
thoughts too.
that's cool. I mean, like that's funny you say that too, because I've been thinking about it just because, I just got done with the Billie Jean thing and started learning that and started executing on it. And it's so exciting for me. And like now I'm starting to see how far I was behind, like that I just had no idea what was already out there. So now I'm
Yeah.
thinking, like, dude, those people that like even just last year knew about this stuff, they're so far ahead. Like,
Dude.
it's
Oh man.
insane. Even just like looking at what GHL can do. You know what I mean? Like just the opportunity in that. And there's going to be how many millionaires, if not already, which probably already are millionaires, just off of that alone,
Has
that
to
are
be
just like
wild.
continuing to grow and grow and grow and seeing different opportunities and then creating different things to go along with it. And then all you have to do is save it, right? And then you have your other company and be like, just basically turn everything that company did into this company, let it run, and then now I can just sit back and make the kinks and just change this little thing.
Exactly.
All right, that one's not working. Change this, change this, change this. And then, like, those people, if you already have that and you already have that all built out,
Plug and play.
this dude, plug and play. Like 2024 is gonna be like obscene. It's gonna be
Crazy.
absolutely insane.
It applies to any business, like pretty much any business.
Anything.
Like, I I went to a martial arts academy to interview to see if I wanted to join it. The entire from the ad all the way to the sales process was Hermosi. And I did not know it until I was there, and I was like asking the guy, I'm like, have you seen Alex Hermosi? Like, and the texts and all these things, like they had all the reviews on the wall. Like, I don't know if you've heard a lot of his stuff, but Alex Hermosi is just like big,
Oh
like,
yeah, you got me
yeah,
into him.
that
Yeah,
I he's
yeah,
amazing. And
he
when
is.
you start to learn those, and his pattern is the same as like what a lot of people do. He just has some cool nuances. But what you're
Yeah,
talking about, that's plug and play anywhere. And if you have a business idea, it just becomes like so what's the word? Like fathomable. Like you can take something from zero to like really fine tuned really quickly, and at a
yeah,
level that most people don't even like. Most businesses are operating without like any follow up, without
yep,
any like understanding of these things, these tools, and it's you can triple, like you can acquire businesses in the future. I know some people that are doing that with like HVAC and stuff, and it's like, dude,
yeah,
oh my god, they don't have an email newsletter, they don't have any of these like the basic level things that you can just plug and play, and it just makes the skill set is like so valuable. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to learn from you. I get to like you have this insight on this crazy new world. It's like it's so cool, man. Fundamentals is like the best thing to know, and then innovation is like the next best thing. How the heck do you lap people? You know what I mean? Like how do you do it faster?
Like those. Yeah, I mean, like, and you can see why Hermosi has acquisition, and like now he just basically sits back and like, hey, do you have over $1 million in this company? And you do. Are you willing to let me buy a certain amount out, and I'll just fix it up, guaranteed. Like,
Dude, what he
guaranteed.
does,
I'll just come in and flip it for you.
it's crazy because it's exactly what you're talking about in the sense of the like building out the template. So I've listened to him talk about it a little bit. I know we're running out of time here. This is so exciting.
Yeah.
Very quick. Basically, he
Yeah.
picks specific companies that his SOPs will work for. So it's like picking it to make his life easier. He goes, oh, your sales process sucks. And it's like the sales process we've proven 100,000 times, and you already fit the criteria that, we would invest in. Let me just put these SOPs in place, start following these processes, and boom, you 5x your value. It's like once you know you're dialed in, you look for companies that are missing the piece that you have. And it's like mind blowing how quickly you can just scale. It's like, wow.
It is. And there's so many like still small companies that aren't really that small, but I mean, there's still considered small businesses
Yeah.
and stuff
They
like
do a
that
lot
that literally just have no idea, just literally no idea
It's
that this
far
kind of
too.
stuff exists. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
It's my
and then you
favorite.
can just go in and be like, dude, just trust me on this and I will show you returns. It's crazy because in my business, you can't ever promise returns, right? It's illegal. You can't do it. This is a business that you can call people and be like, just do this part, and I promise you,
Yeah,
I will make you more money. Your company will make this much more money within this much time.
yeah.
It's crazy.
With high margin too. Like you don't even have to like. There's things you can do for free. Like I have friends that run businesses that don't have like good CRMs, and I'm like, I don't normally do this, but like if you want, you can use like some of my templates in my CRM to like JHL to like go win, and then pay me in the future when you can. And it's like it's so easy to just get a business. Hey, I'll give you a big common one is reviews. Give you like 50 reviews, for free. It takes 2 seconds. It takes 2 seconds to do it, and it gives them so much value. And you're like, holy cow! Like I can lead the way with. So yeah, it's the right thing to do. And plus, you've got the trading background of like you've got your main skill set, so you're just adding on, and it's just so cool, man. I love watching you flourish. You're one of the few people that will literally just eat up the knowledge. And I hope anybody watching this that is like that is the same way with target trading. Like they just where they're focused, they eat up that knowledge, they will succeed. It's just
thanks, buddy.
A fact,
dude. I can't thank you enough, and I'm just like, it's been almost a year now since we like it was about a year ago now that we started to just start talking and getting to know each other. And dude, I mean, me and you could do this. I mean, every time we talk on the phone, it's usually over an hour. Like we'll start talking. It's like, oh, bro, did you know this? Did you think about this? And then like we just start talking. So man, I appreciate you so much, brother. Thanks so much for coming on. And
thank you, my friend.
You got to come back on another time.
Hey, man, happy to do it. Happy to do it. And I'm sure Randall would have some interesting questions and perspectives. I know we missed him, but it'd be cool to
absolutely. Yeah, I know he's sad he missed it, but he told me to tell you he'll definitely come and be on the next one with you.
Dude, I love it. So awesome, man. Well, thank you again.
Yeah, thanks everybody for tuning in. Life and Leverage Podcast. See you again soon.